Hey everyone, and welcome back to my devlog. If you're new here, I post videos logging the progress of the new third-person looter-shooter mobile game I'm developing called N.E.S.T, so consider subscribing to follow along. Now I know it's been a while, but I assure you for good reason. Well, sort of. First of all, exams and the first semester of university is now done, and that means holiday. Unfortunately, I've spent way too much of that time on other unrelated issues, which I'd just rather not get into in this video. Anyway, I have spent a good amount of time making progress on N.E.S.T, so let's rather discuss that. After some much needed inspiration, I felt it was about time I finally got around to setting up GitHub. I had used Git before for several of my university projects, but just never found the need to use it in an actual real-world application. I mean, what's wrong with using an external hard drive to make backups on?
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the... No.
Yeah, I can't believe I used to do this. If you're watching this video now and this looks familiar, please do yourself a favor and switch over to source control instead. I don't know why it took me so long. What's there to worry about? I mean, there's absolutely no risk of large companies being hacked nowadays. Anyway, let's get into the progress I made on N.E.S.T. I started off by making some essential improvements to the Basecamp's character customization menu by including the ability to change your hair and weight. Now, is it just me, or are you looking kind of thick? Next up, I moved onto the world map and added the ability to view your statistics for each level. The grayed out icons on the right are rare items you'll be able to find hidden around each level. The idea for this came from one of my favorite games when I was a kid, Ratchet & Clank, where they hid titanium bolts around the world. I remember spending hours trying to find them all, but eventually having to throw the towel in and just look up where they were online. This was a fairly simple addition which added a whole new dimension to how you played the game. And by doing the same for N.E.S.T, it will also give me the opportunity to really exploit the vaulting system.
Pickle Rick!
Another thing which I touched up on was the social forum, which I discussed in the previous video. You've submitted some great assets so far, so keep them coming. There was also a great idea to include a sandbox mode, where you'll be able to spawn in anything from the game, similar to how PUBG has implemented it. This will however only be accessible to those who have unlocked the completionist achievement, to give it that extra prestige. Moving on, I needed to include a measure to protect myself against loads of emails from angry parents whose kids accidentally pressed the wrong button and spent all their gems. Now, with a single line of code, I can display a confirmation menu to confirm any important choice the player makes. For example, anywhere where gems or a large amount of gold is spent. Now that I was happy with the base camp, it was time to move on to gameplay. After playtesting a placeholder level, I found it was really easy to just run past all the aliens and destroy the nest. To overcome this, I added a shield which deactivates once all the aliens in a level have been killed. Next up, I added the ability to unequip by reselecting your current weapon via the wedge selector. But why would you need to disarm yourself, you ask? Well, there are a couple of reasons. Firstly, weapons now include speed and jump modifiers. What this means is that you'll run a lot faster and jump a lot higher if you have a Desert Eagle equipped instead of, say, a bazooka. Another reason is that you can't climb up objects taller than 2 meters without first being unarmed. Lastly, this also provides some really interesting gameplay opportunities, like stealth-only levels and interesting boss fights. Now, while this all sounds great, it wasn't possible without completely reworking the player's animator controller. For this, I chose to use multiple layers for each weapon type, because they use different animations. I can then blend between them using a coroutine. I also added falling and landing animations, which means that players now take fall damage based on how long they've been falling for. Next on my to-do list was to redo the swapping animations, because I wasn't quite happy with how slow and unnatural they felt. Upon swapping, I also needed to take into account how the left hand grips each weapon differently, and so I set up a grip transform for each weapon. I then used Final IK to blend the weighting of the left hand in and out while swapping, which prevents it from snapping. Because of the different sizes of each gun, I also needed to adjust the height at which the player holds the gun while aiming. For this, I used a blend tree to blend between two aiming animations and specified an aim height property for each gun. Melee weapons in particular underwent some major changes. I wasn't at all happy with the previous system, where players held down to prepare and then released to swing. The gameplay itself felt too repetitive and not fun at all. Instead, I've now replaced it with a more modular system, where all you need to do is drag animations into an array and set up events specifying where you want to start and stop swinging. You can then combo these attacks by correctly timing each swing. On top of this, I also added a blocking mechanic, which gives players the probability of blocking an alien's melee attack. The last thing I did was build the game to my actual device using the iOS project builder I discussed in the previous devlog. But that's gonna do it for this video. If you enjoyed or learned something, make sure to slap that like button and subscribe to follow along on the development of this game. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.